Hey everyone, I hope you had a wonderful day. Today we're able to talk to a buddy of mine named Grant Stark, and sadly, we weren't able to actually sit down and talk due to scheduling conflicts. So in the background, you're just going to see some zombies gameplay, my friend and I's first time on Ancient Evil, and some multiplayer gameplay. I want to start pumping out content and try new things. Hopefully you join me for this ride. I hope you guys enjoy this, and any thoughts and suggestions that you have moving forward, please put them down in the comments down below. They help so much. Enjoy the video. Hello, Grant.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am amazing.
Awesome.
Yes.
I shoot a little intro before this, but let's just start with the conversation with, what is your name?
Grant Stark.
Awesome. So, tell me a little about yourself.
I am in high school. Live in Oregon, which is probably one of the least interesting states there is, as I feel.
Hey,
feel
our
like it's
prison
not a
rates are
very
pretty good.
Yeah, not a very popular state. I'm a junior in high school. I'm active in sports and esports, playing video games with my friends. I like music, and that kind of takes up much of my time is just sports and school.
Awesome. What sports do you play?
Football, basketball, and I throw shot put and discus for track and field.
That's awesome. How long have you been playing football for?
Oh God. Jeez. I don't know how many years it's been. I think that I started in kindergarten, which I'm pretty sure we lied about my age so I could start playing a year earlier. So I've been playing football for just longer than I can remember.
What do you play quarterback? Do you play lineman? Do you play right tackle?
Play on the offensive line and defensive line. Primarily offensive line, but I do play some defensive line as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk a little bit about what's already happened, what's old news at this point.
Alrighty.
Our school won the state championship, correct?
Yes,
And you were on that team.
I was.
Tell me a little bit about that. Because obviously, I wasn't there to experience that raw emotion, the exhilarating events that happened. Walk me through it.
Oh God, honestly, I know people say this a lot and stuff, but I truly I think it felt like a movie. It was. I don't think we could have written a script to be better than how it just kind of all worked out. It was crazy. I don't know how it happened. I mean, do you want me to go into the full detail of the season or just the game?
I mean, you just talk about the highlights because obviously, I believe that you guys were ranked 7 in this state before.
Yeah, we were 7. So
you guys weren't favored.
No, we were not at all. So, the shorthand version. We opened our season against a team called Churchill, and they were kind of turning into more of one of our school's rivals. A lot of teams I know across the state aren't huge fans of them, and we would be one of those teams. So it had kind of become it's turning into more and more of a rivalry as the time goes on. So we opened our season with them. We got worked by them. I'm going to be honest. We did not put up our best fight. Then we went in and played Sheldon, who's a powerhouse in the state, who's a classification above us. They worked us. And then after that, we kind of got the gears were turning. Everything started clicking, and we won, I think, 7 games in a row going into 6 games in a row. And then we found ourselves playing Churchill again for the league championship, and we played them a lot closer next time around, but we narrowly lost them. I can't even remember the score, but it was a really close game. We barely lost, and then that set us up for the playoffs. And I just remember the day after that Churchill game was when the playoffs, the bracket came out, and so I remember talking to my dad. He's the head coach, and he was like, "I think we're gonna get seated on Churchill's side of the bracket. I think we'll see them a third time." And that just got me all fired up, and that got me excited because I really want to beat those guys. So we ended up getting seated on their side of the bracket. So in our first round of the playoffs, we beat a team pretty handily. And then we played Churchill again for the third time, my bad, which was probably my favorite game of the year just because of what all of it has built into. And, we were playing them. We were down by more than a score. We were down by more than a touchdown with not much time left at all. And or we were down by a score, and then they had the ball, and their running back, instead of just kind of taking a knee almost when he broke free, and just kind of running clock out. He decided to go score a touchdown, which put time back on the clock and the ball in our hands. So it was just kind of like it was a blessing in disguise. We went down, scored, missed the 2-point conversion, and kicked it onside. And I think we were down by 2 points, and we recovered that onside kick. And then our freshman kicker kicked the game-winning field goal to put us into the next round of the playoffs. So that was just crazy in itself. We kind of felt, not that we peaked, we knew we had more to come, but that was just a great feeling. We went on semifinal game, rolled that team. It was, we could dominated them. So then there was not a little talk like we were the 7th seed out of 16 teams. We were not supposed to have made it as far as we did, and we were going in to a team that was, I believe, 12-0, hadn't lost a game all season. They had beat the team that had previously beat us twice in Churchill. They had beat them in a game earlier this season, so we knew they were good. They had the National Gatorade Player of the Year on their football team. He broke the state touchdown record, so they were a good football team. And we started out hot. We went into halftime, I think, up 10 points on them, and then the second half was just slow motion. We were not amounting to anything on offense. They got a little bit of stuff going, but really it was just kind of at a standstill. And then they tied it up, and going into the fourth quarter, we were tied. And then that one of the wildest series of events I think I've ever seen in a football game kind of unfolded in the last minute and a half of our football game in the state championship. We had a kid on our team make an interception with his whole right hand was in a club, so it was completely padded and taped up. So he basically just had like a nub of a right hand. And he ended up making an interception, which was crazy in itself.
Was it with the nub?
It was with the nub. Yeah,
Oh,
he just kind of cradled it. He just kind of, created a basket for the ball to just fall into. And he got it. It was awesome. And then we finally get a little momentum. We didn't score anything, but we finally got to move the ball, so we were feeling good about ourselves now. And we went back to defense, and their quarterback, he shanked a punt. Their quarterback was also their punter, and he had an awful punt on that last series that they had the ball, or the second to last series, and they put us in great field position. And so we went down. I think we were tied at this point in the game. We went down, got within field goal range, and our freshman kicker again, I think he just turned 15 years old, like a week or something before that. It was crazy. He kicked the go-ahead field goal, and we gave it back to Wilsonville with, I think, 40 seconds left. And they got into field goal range through a couple plays. And then they were in a field goal range, and on the last play of the game, they kicked a field goal, and I always get credited with the block of the field goal, but really their kicker, I think, just kicked it off the back of one of their players. But it was hilarious. Or now it's hilarious. Just kind of everyone, in all the articles and stuff, I get credited with it. But, yeah, they kicked it off the back. And the kid who blocked that or who caught that interception with the club, he picked up the ball and was just kind of running around in shock and disbelief that we had just won a state championship. And our whole sideline rushed the field. Well, the ball had never officially gone dead, so we got a penalty for too many men on the field.
Jeez.
And in football, you cannot end the game on a defensive penalty. So they got the 15-yard, I think it was 15-yard penalty. They moved up and got a second chance at the kick. And they went on, and on that second attempt, they made it. But in high school football, if you jump off sides on defense, it's a dead ball. It's not like in the NFL where it's just like a free play. And one of our corners jumped off sides, so that was a dead ball. And on the third try they had at it, we finally blocked the field goal, and we won the game, and we were state champs.
So was that second time around that offsides, was that intentional?
No, it was not intentional at all.
Oh, man, that would have been smart to ice the kicker.
Yeah, it was. We could have called a timeout, I believe. It was just, I think, pure dumb luck. If you're religious, you could say it was someone looking down on us or something. It was crazy.
So you're obviously kind of going to be my main focus of this conversation today.
Yes.
And you want to play in the NFL. Is that too much to say or no?
No, yeah, that's my dream. That's what I'm working for.
All right, so let's let's kind of dissect an idea real quick, okay?
Alrighty.
So you obviously are a fantastic lineman, from at least my opinion, my very skinny knowledge of football. You're what? You're 6'4",
Six,
3?
yeah, 6'5".
Okay, wow. Okay, so 6'5". I think you said at one point you're 280, 270.
Yeah, 280 pounds.
Okay, you're a big boy. You can obviously bully around kids.
Yes.
So, what is it that like you have, and that you can bring to any team that was wanting to talk to you, for instance?
So like at a college level, I think
Yeah.
I'm like between 6'4" and 6'5". I'm just maybe a shade under 6'5". So I'm not maybe I know as funny as it sounds, not the ideal height. They like I know a lot of colleges like to see guys a solid 6'5" to 6'6". I don't weigh quite 300 pounds, which a lot of people think of, but I'm strong, especially for my size. I can move my feet like very well through playing basketball and being a little slimmer. I've always been just completely active my whole life, and I never was really one to just be sitting around on the couch. So I'm pretty like quick. In a dead sprint, I'm not super fast, but I can move my feet with guys that are a lot more quote unquote athletic than me, and so I think that's just what I'm good at as far as maybe pass protection. Then run block, I think I just kind of have the attitude that I want to go out there and bully someone around and put them on the ground and help our team win. I think I'm just kind of, I like to think I'm a really hard worker, and then I'll kind of outwork any other guy that is also wanting to be in the position that I'm trying to get to.
Oh, if that wasn't a good sales pitch, I don't know what is. But you said something that really, really, struck a chord in my head. So you said originally that you like to play video games with your friends, but you also said you don't like to sit around on the couch. So
Yeah.
what's your leniency with that?
In my downtime, I like to make sure I get my work done, and especially as I've gotten older, I have gotten more and more into video games, especially as a kid. It was always I live in a neighborhood where I have like 4 or 5 friends that live within, like, my best friends next door. I have friends in the cul-de-sac, right? Like, we all live in the same neighborhood. So it was easy to just knock on some doors and get a pickup football game going, or play pickup basketball, or run around and play tag, just do really whatever. And so that's where it was just kind of not trying to never be on the couch, but just didn't need to be. We always had fun outside. And then as I've gotten older, those pickup football games come further and fewer between. And so then it kind of turned into, well, on the weekends, maybe I'm recovering because I've had a full week of practice and lifting and workout and all that stuff. Then I get to sit down on the Xbox and play with my friends. And in the summer, after I've gotten my workouts in and stuff, then I get to sit down and play on the Xbox. So trying to mix and get what I want out of both of those things.
Well, I can totally relate to the whole pickup games not happening anymore. I tried to have a pickup game last year with a couple of buddies, and it got so intense because you know how sports is. You're chipping with each other. You're kind of pushing around.
Yeah, for sure.
That someone tripped and like broke their front bracket of their braces on a curb. So I don't get me wrong. I totally get that. But when you have that free time, when you have that downtime, what are the games that you're looking to play?
I have not been real active on the Xbox recently, just for a lack of games kind of that I've enjoyed, and just being busy with football and track and school and. But right now, me and my friends, as funny or nerdy or whatever anyone wants to call it, we have all gotten back into Minecraft like we were kids again.
Respect.
I think it's kind of being normalized again. There is I feel like there's been a big resurgence of like people getting into Minecraft recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we've just kind of started worlds and just mess around. And my favorite thing, honestly, is just being able to sit in a party and talk crap with my friends and just hang out. Which I think has always been one of my favorite things about Xbox is it's getting to do something with your friends without actually physically being there, which is, I think, so cool to me. And then if you go back like in time, Fortnite, I was huge into that for a while. Till like
a little bit.
when it first came out, I'm off the bandwagon now. But again, it was just kind of a thing where all my friends were playing it and I was playing it, and it was a time to just get to play with all my friends. And it was awesome. Sitting down, just playing with my buddies. And then before that, I was always a Call of Duty guy. Like that's like my bread and butter is Call of Duty. I just love that kind of game.
So you have a very interesting perspective. I assume you have a very interesting perspective. I want to ask you this question because you're someone that has been grown up in the scene of athletics, like you said, from kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And you have a love and passion for football, which don't get me wrong, we're going to come back to because that's like a huge topic we're going to break down.
Yeah.
But what is your take on the idea of what is called esports, which is video games like League of Legends, Call of Duty, and all these competitive games being considered sports? What's your take on that?
I love it, honestly. I think it, first of all, it takes a lot of skill. If not greater than the amount of skill like what people would think of as typical sports like football and basketball, if not more, because I know like I've played a lot of video games in my day and I am not touching the amount of skill that I'm not even close. Like it's not even a comparison with how much skill some of those guys have and the amount of time that they put in and are able to put in. As opposed, I mean, football really you can get like you can't play football for 8 hours in a day. I mean, you can, but first of all, that's going to take a tax on your body, and just people don't. I don't know whether it's commitment level or whatever, but there's guys who sit down on a video game to get better at it for, I mean, like you can do 12 hours a day. I mean, really, it's whatever you want, really, is how willing are you to get to the top. So I think it's awesome. I think it's very cool that it's starting to rise. I think it's becoming a bigger and bigger industry. It's expanding, more games and that stuff. I just think it's awesome. As someone who enjoys the typical like football, basketball, baseball, sports area, and then also the video games, esports.
Well, that's very. I like the idea of athletes getting behind esports, quote unquote athletes. Even though they're in my head, they're kind of separate. For right now, we gotta put them in two different categories. Hopefully, one day we can kind of like get them into one category.
Yeah.
But you talked about something interesting that I kind of want to dissect here, is that you're talking about how the idea of having to work hard to get to the top. And, in a video game, League of Legends, Call of Duty, there's the teams, 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves just won a Call of Duty World Championship thing. And Team Liquid is right now at MSI competing for North America for their stuff for League of Legends. But we have, as of right now, what's societally like cool as our main sport is the NFL. Besides, they recently have had some declining numbers with the Super Bowl, but that comes and goes with, depending on who's in the Super Bowl. And that's where you want to be one day, right?
Yes, for sure.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to just, put on your tinfoil hat. I want you to get super, conspiritualistic right now. And I want you to think that if someone's listening to this 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I want you to guess what team you're going to be on and why.
What team I am going to be on.
What's your dream team or what team you're going to be on? What are you feeling? What's something that speaks to you?
Well, first of all, Pittsburgh Steelers is my number one team in the NFL. Always has been since I was a little kid. It was my dad's team. So I just kind of, you adopt what your parents' favorite teams are a lot of the times. And I've always liked their team. They're kind of that blue-collar attitude, like we're going to work hard and stuff. I mean, Big Ben is a great player, and just kind of all the great players they've had. All I've grown up, it's been easy to root for them. They haven't given me any reasons not to. So that would be like probably number one. And then what team I would think I would end up playing for? God, that's a really hard question because of how quickly the tides of the NFL can turn, like how quickly a team can get a lot better and receive earlier draft picks and get a lot worse, how quickly teams can fall off, and
basically,
how much.
I'm just trying to see if you could guess what teams are going to be hot and what teams are going to be not in the near future. I mean, of course, once again with you, what you probably have, you have your senior year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have then most likely 4 years in college. You might
Yeah.
get redshirted and have 5 years, or you might, quit early and go to the draft and go 3
Yeah.
years. But at least from my perspective, I watch the NFL very casually.
Yeah.
We're seeing this weird age to where the Browns are actually looking kind of good.
I think they will be very good. I think the Browns will be a very high contender this year. I'm starting to become a fan of the Browns.
And as of last year, at least, they kind of ironed it out a little bit. But Bill Belichick was hinting that he was going to leave because him and Tom Brady were fighting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and to that, Tom Brady's getting old. I mean, the style of football he plays is a lot less taxing on the body. But I think at any rate, you get into your 40s, I think football becomes a difficult game.
So you're telling me we're never going to see Grant versus Brady?
47. I mean, I'm presuming that about 5 years. If I were to make it to the NFL, I would say about 5 years would be the course. I would say 47 is, I think, way higher than any age we've seen in the NFL by any position. I think the oldest right now is Adam Vinatieri, who's a kicker, so he avoids contact at all times. I think he's in his upper 40s, or not upper 40s. I think like 45 would be the highest, like the oldest I could think he is. I think 47 years old to be playing at the quarterback position would be outstanding. It would be really cool to see, though. I mean, if Tom Brady could pull it off and still play at the level he's playing at right now, I would say it would be cool.
Well, I can hope as a Patriots fan that Brady will still be here for 30 more years, but that's not true. But we'll just get him with a cybernetic arm.
Yeah. Hey, technology is advancing.
So, before you obviously make it to the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
you got to go through college. And
Yes.
I am not asking you, please do not say this because it could bring you some bad juju. I'm not asking you what college you're going to go to, okay?
Yeah.
But if you could have one college, and I'm already going to cross out this one because you know what, we already know the obvious answer here. We're not talking about Saban's Alabama, okay?
Yeah.
If you could have one college kind of throw you a bone, give you a little look-see, what college would you want to give you a look?
Can I give you a couple?
I mean, you can give me a freaking list of 5 if you want.
I have different answers for different reasons. The top two, number one, or no particular order, just the first one. Wisconsin, as weird as it sounds, they churn out offensive linemen like no one else. I mean, they produce like very good offensive linemen. They always have really good offensive linemen. Joe Thomas, who's arguably the best offensive tackle to ever play the game of football. He went to Wisconsin, and I'm a huge fan of his. I've studied him a good amount. So, yeah, I love Wisconsin for their offensive line play. So that would be really cool to be a part of as an offensive lineman. And then number 2, I'll just do 2, would be Clemson. I think Dabo Sweeney as a coach.
I should have crossed that out, but continue.
Well, not just because they're a powerhouse, but for 2 reasons. One, Dabo Sweeney, he's awesome. He's kind of got that swagger you see on Instagram and stuff. Those videos of him in the locker room dancing. He just seems like the cool, like the kind of guy you'd want to be your head coach, and a great kind of like figure of a person. So that's he just is an awesome person. And then that's like my mom's dream school for me is because again she just loves Dabo Sweeney. So Clemson would be really cool. And then obviously they're amazingly successful on the field.
Yeah, that's your list right there? Nothing else?
I would be grateful for any team that was willing to look at me and take a chance on me. Yeah, but like just for those like specific reasons right there. I mean, I could go on with a list of just teams that are successful, and I love players that have go from those teams and all sorts of stuff. So.
Well, also, Saban, if you're listening, we love you, okay? There's literally no ill will here.
Yeah.
Pick up Grant. I love tickets.
Yeah.
So, this is a little bit different, right? So, you have to, like I said, we've been working back a little bit. We talked a little about the NFL. We talked a little about college. but you have one more year in high school.
Yes.
And a lot of players are leaving. Granted, the talent we've been able to breed has been really good. We have some really good juniors. We have some really good sophomores. I mean, freshman class is always just, freshman class.
Yeah.
But we're having a lot of seniors leave this year that were really important to that last game for our school.
Mm-hmm.
What's your game plan? What's your hope going forward? I mean, is another championship something that you guys feel is achievable, or is it a distant dream?
For sure. I think it's achievable. One thing that I want to tie into this that you said is that like the players that we've like been able to breed. It's not easy. We lift 4 days a week in the mornings, 2 days a week at 6:30 in the morning. So I mean, that's hard for a lot of guys. But I love that you said breed, because we really do we've never had, I can tell you right now, this year we did not have the most athletic team, the most talented, the most gifted, go on and on. But we had the hardest working team, and we had probably one of the most close-knit teams. So I think that was a major contributor to our success. And I think our junior class, which is going to be seniors next year, was kind of a rock for that. We had a large junior class playing large roles. And so I think that that core of a team that and not just core players on the field, but that relationship that you have, trusting each other off the field and on the field, I think we bring that back very well. And I think at no matter what rate, right now, what we're trying to build is that it doesn't matter if we're bringing in, if we have a 5-star college recruit, a guy who's going to go play at Alabama on our team, or multiple guys. I don't think it doesn't matter if we have that, or if we have a team full of guys that aren't going to go on to play college at the next level. We're just going to outwork everyone, and we're going to try and make ourselves the best we can be as individuals and as a team, and that will always find ourselves in positions for success. So I think this coming year, we definitely feel we will be able to – not be able to. I think we definitely feel we will be making a run for another state championship. Don't want to get cocky and say we will win one, but I definitely am confident in our team. We can replace a lot of the roles, and then I just kind of, I don't know, things just kind of always seem to work out. You always kind of, you find guys to fit into places you need them, and you just go with what you got and you make it work. So.
Well, I highly recommend you take that clip back to your team when practice starts and play it for them so they know. But when you're sitting there, and you guys obviously, as you talked about, I'm not going to put it lightly, you guys kind of got your teeth stomped in the beginning of the year. Okay?
Oh, for sure. Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't pretty. Let's just say there's a lot of students that didn't want to go to the games.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
What was that factor that put you guys back together? Was it like a pregame ritual? Was it a bonding session that you guys did? What was it that brought you guys to actually set aside your guys' BS and actually work towards your goal?
It was those first 2 games. We got our heads kicked in. We got our teeth bashed, whatever you want to call it. It was not a pretty first 2 games. And I think we were sick and tired of that happening. We didn't want that to happen again. The whole season, so we got to business. We started figuring our stuff out. We figured out what we needed to fix. And we fixed it. We kept working on it. We worked hard all the time, and it was just kind of what propelled us forward through the season.
So I know there's the idea, on every team, I think there's normally offense and defense, like captains, right? Like people we look to for like that, either that leadership or that call or that ability to bring the spirits out of people, you know what I mean? If you guys have that hole missing, how do you guys go to fill that?
Well, the first thing we do is just try to have every player, I believe, every player on the team can be a leader, no matter what capacity that is in. So, I think everyone knows you have leaders that lead by example, and you have leaders that lead verbally. You have leaders that lead in all sorts of different type of ways. And I think just collectively, we all stepped up and became a little bit better leaders. We had some guys that stepped up and maybe were a little bit more vocal, and we had some guys that stepped up their work ethic and kind of showed some guys what we need to be doing, and just everyone kind of took that step to become just better leaders and yeah, and help out. So I think that was what came, and then we had our main group of like captains. We had guys we'd vote on, but I just think everyone kind of started holding each other accountable.
The accountability part is very important in my personal opinion. It's next to the hardworking part because it holds the captains to a high level and everyone else up to that same level, right?
Yes.
So no one can slack around and cause the team to have those dips that are the weakest links, which it sounds like you guys were able to capitalize on. So moving forward, you won't have an issue when the senior class leaves.
Yeah, it was kind of a like not a you're with us or you're against us, but it was like you better hop on the ship or you're going to drown because this is the direction we're moving. This is how we're going to be taking care of business from now on, and you better get with that or else. I mean, you don't really have an option other than to get with it.
So, talking on the getting on ship, right? We touched on this just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit, okay?
Yeah.
But I want to talk on getting on ship, bandwagoning, whatever you want to call it when it comes to sports, okay? Let's bring it back to the NFL for a second.
Yep.
Next year, we already saw that Odell Beckham Jr. is on the Browns, which is,
yes.
Crazy to think about that Odell Beckham Jr., the only good player on the Giants besides their running back, in my personal opinion, I should say, because Eli Manning is not that good.
Yeah, he's getting older.
The Browns are going to get good.
Yeah.
The Patriots are, at least I'm hoping they're going to play at their same level. The Jets got some good recruits. Like there's a lot of really good talent for the first time in a while, in my opinion, in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a lot of good talent.
In your opinion, what are the teams that are going to actually be able to compete that are going to make people like me, a casual viewer, to be able to tune in and watch?
One thing, I think maybe the biggest thing would be the Cleveland Browns. They have a second-year quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who just he tore it up last year. He was really good. Especially he didn't get to play in the first few games of the season just because of the coaching. They didn't start him. I don't know if they didn't feel comfortable with him or whatever. But then they lost some games and they kind of just decided, hey, we're gonna go with the young guy, and he lit it up, and he has a receiver in Jarvis Landry who is also an all-pro guy, just like Odell Beckham Jr. Those Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry were actually college teammates, and I believe grew up in the same town in Florida, or not Florida, in Louisiana. I think they're from the same place. So they've kind of always been pushing each other, which I think they'll continue to do now that they're on the same team. So I think that duo will just keep getting better and better. Baker Mayfield, I think, proved last year that he is going to be able to be a very good NFL quarterback, and I think he's a great leader. There was a lot of people, I think, when he came out of college that didn't like his quote unquote cockiness, which I love Baker Mayfield because I think he's just a competitor. I think he hates to lose, and I can relate to that, and so I think he's going to have a drive that's going to kind of force that team to be like, hey, we're done being the Cleveland Browns. We're done shipping it in and taking our first round draft or our first overall draft pick every year. We're turning this ship around. And so I think that with those weapons they have, and they have a really good running back, and I think it's Nick Chubb. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be really good.
So I want to pick your brain a little bit about this because as you were talking about the Browns and people are going to want to watch the Browns, it made me think about the NFL viewership. And if you don't know, the NFL viewership is down a little bit. Not to an alarming amount, but just it's down a little bit, and people are speculating. And since we got some free time, why not speculate? Mm-hmm. So the League of Legends World Final, which is my favorite video game to play right now, even though oh my god, it hurts my soul to play sometimes. It drew in somewhere like 200 million people, which is 70 million or something like that. I know I'm getting these numbers probably a little bit wrong. Which is a lot more than what the NFL driven, which I know the League of Legends thing was worldwide, and a lot of people I think it was hosted in South Korea, so North America and South Korea were viewing, and it's a lot different than just North America with football. But what are some of the saving graces do you think are gonna be that are gonna actually make you want to play for the NFL because there is a possible trend of it dying out before you even get there?
Well, the first thing I would touch on is that like why the viewership I think would be down, in my opinion, or like relative to like the League of Legends, like you said, that's a global game across what 6 continents probably.
Probably.
Like it has one of the highest amount of players that a video game's ever seen. I mean, it's huge, undoubtedly. And so I think that like global reach that it has, that the NFL sure definitely does have that global reach, but I think it's not as deep as maybe League of Legends would have. So I'd say on that end of the spectrum, like why League of Legends gets more viewers. And then I'd say the NFL is just down a little bit because of, I think, a couple reasons. I think one would be, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, which, without getting political, I think that is a cause.
We can get political here, just so you know. If you want to, we can.
Yeah. But I think that it's kind of like, you get those backwoods kind of guys that are like, oh, he's going to kneel for the national anthem. Like, they're going to allow that, so they stop watching. So I think that's a decent amount of viewership, which honestly, that is kind of who the NFL caters towards as well. That's where football is huge in those kind of like, red states a little bit, like Texas in the South. Like that's football, or the South is football. Like that's their number one thing always. I mean, like Friday Night Lights and stuff like that. I mean, it's huge there. So I think that could take away from a lot of the viewership. And number two, I think it's I don't know if I want to say repetitive, but I mean, how many times does someone want to watch Tom Brady and your local mailman play for a Super Bowl against whatever team is challenging them that year? Like, as much as I like respect the greatness and what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have built, I mean, they are there almost every year, regardless. And I think people just don't really care to see it anymore with how repetitive it is. And I think, I know you're a Patriots fan, but I do think it would be coming to an end soon.
I know.
Just only because Tom Brady is retiring. I mean, inevitably, it has to happen soon.
Not if we get him his cybernetic arm.
Yeah, not if we get him a cybernetic arm. But until they figure out how to make that happen, I think Tom Brady is going to have to call it quits at some point soon. I mean, 42 is a lot of football to have played in your life. So I think that eventually, I think the numbers will start to rise again as people kind of move on from the whole kneeling for the national anthem thing. I know that it's starting to die out, at least from my perception. I don't see it being as big of a deal anymore throughout Twitter and all that kind of stuff, the news and all that stuff. So I think that's kind of die out. They'll probably get a lot of that viewership back. And I think it'll start being variable. Like new teams are rising to the top and people are going to care about that, like we talked about with the Cleveland Browns coming up and the Jets being able to get some talent and maybe have a good team this year, and the Raiders signing Antonio Brown and maybe they're going to have a good team this year. So I think just a culmination of all those things could up their viewership again.
So let me ask you. I mean, this is right now we're just kind of theorizing, right? We're not throwing our hat in the game. We're just gonna talk about this a little bit. Okay. So as we talked about with League of Legends being as big as it is with the 200 million viewership, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Because of how many regions it hits, right? They have, I think, in every major region in the world, they have League of Legends esports going on. I mean, from South Korea all the way to Vietnam to North America, right? They have their own teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I think would be interesting, and I'm going to pretend real quick, I'm going to pretend like we're not living in this reality where CTE is a thing, because CTE is a huge concern along football players, and I want to ask you about that in a little bit, but Alrighty. I'm going to pretend like CTE is not an actual thing for a second, like a lot of NFL players do.
Yeah.
Do you think that the NFL could actually start making, an NFL teams in Mexico, and then the game before the Super Bowl said the Pro Bowl is the Mexican American actual who's better at football type game, and I don't understand why they haven't branched out yet, because they have Canadian football.
Hmm.
Why not like try to, you know, have them compete so we can
Um,
have some sort of patriotic game?
as as uninteresting as it probably sounds, I think logistics would be the number one thing.
Yeah.
Um, Football player. I mean, you talk about like if we could say CTEs and this thing, but beyond that, it beats your body. You gotta you gotta be able to recover from that. So if you're taking cross, I mean Mexico, maybe they could incorporate that. They could get a team in Mexico and stuff like that, but I think it would just be hard on players to travel to different continents, like maybe on a week by week or every couple weeks, trying to play football and do that. That would be really hard.
Yeah, I just feel like if viewership goes down, you want to incorporate other countries than just
Oh,
America.
for sure. And then another thing I kind of thought of just now would be the way societies are set up. Maybe, I mean, incorporating the game of football into societies and such. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to get in over my head here. I'm not any expert on how like societies work, but like in Mexico, like with high schools and like stuff, I don't know how they like if they're set up to have a high school football team in all high schools
Yeah.
and set up a classification and stuff like that. So I think it would take some work. I think it's doable. If they were really committed to it, I think it would be doable. With the help of there'd just be some people who need to buy in into like starting like youth programs and high school programs and like helping develop football players in all these other countries because I think for sure you could do it. Like I don't think it's just like Americans can play football and no one else can.
Yeah.
I think you just got to get people bought in. I think it would really be hard.
I mean, that to me just seems like the NFL's saving grace if viewership does continually decline. But so we're gonna go back to the real world now. Okay, back to the world we live in.
Yes.
CTE is a thing. CTE is a concern. I remember when I played football my freshman year, I had a really bad knee injury when we went down to Cal Berkeley.
Hmm.
It was really, really bad. It took me an entire summer, 3 months, basically, because it was in the middle of June. 3 months of physical therapy, and then the first day of practice, I remember when I ran on it because we were doing conditioning and whatnot. It literally gave out on me because my tendons could not hold my body up anymore.
Yeah.
So it is a huge wear and tear. And my parents were deadly concerned of CTE. You're wanting to make a career out of this. What's
Yes.
your fear? What's your level of concern with CTE?
I know as I'm trying to think of the word. I don't know. As stupid as I may sound, I mean, I don't know. I maybe have these rose-colored glasses on where I just don't think about it. I just love playing football, and it's what I've always known, and I'm just committed to that. Where I'm not worried about like that right now. I've been lucky, knock on wood, to stay pretty injury and concussion free. And I also do think that now, especially, one of the huge things is there's like a lot of coaches, and it's being like there's an awareness of it where there's a lot of coaches and youth coaches that are working to improve the technique of football to make those hits not as big of a deal, like to where you have your technique that reduces those just crazy hard collisions to the head that can cause that CTE. Yeah. Like I know I train with a guy with a program called Line Pro, and it's like all offensive lineman based training. And his goal is to make offensive line play while helping kids, like teaching them the right technique, making them better football players, and trying to set them up for success post high school, post college, what have you. There are also goals to make the game of football safer through those proper techniques. I know my dad played football, and he told me that how he got away with maybe not being like as strong. He couldn't punch someone with his hands as well to the chest playing on the offensive line. You'd lunge at them and headbutt them. That's how you stop their momentum. Like that was just what you had. Like that was what you did. You just had to find ways to figure it out. But now, like through these techniques, we're able to lower those risks of CTE. And I know like with new tackling fundamentals, you're able to do that as well. So I think that is one thing that I'm less and less scared about. And also, I think as you move up higher levels of football, I know like coaches say this all the time, is when maybe you're doing the technique right, but it's when you're going against someone who's not doing the technique right is when you get hurt.
Yeah.
Like you may be doing everything right, but the other person isn't, and then you can still get hurt. But you get to the NFL, everyone's doing the right technique. They know what they're doing, so that I think that chance of injury can be reduced a little bit because you don't have to worry about those rogue people going a million miles an hour out of control, no technique, just trying to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean that seems logical to me. So we talked a lot about your I'm just gonna say your career path. We talked a lot about your career path. We talked a little theory, speculation on the NFL and other things. I wanna have a little bit more personal talk with you, Grant. Not football talk, not whatever. Just a little bit more lighthearted discussion, fluff conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So super easy, super simple. Is there any movie, any TV show, anything you've watched recently that has just like really stuck out to you?
It's probably gonna sound like pretty typical for right now, but Endgame, I liked it a lot. I went and saw it with some buddies and I really liked it.
Everyone listening, if you haven't seen it, please pause this and go see it. If you're still made it this far, thank you. But we're gonna talk about the spoilers. It's been banned lifted. Okay, cool, awesome, done.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Besides the obvious best part of the movie, which was the single shot of Captain America versus Thanos' army, what was something that just like either made you cry, hit you in your heartstrings, or like made you jump out of your chair screaming yes?
Man, there was a lot of sweet moments, like the Iron Man scene, of course. Like I think that got everyone, and I can say like I am not super in depth in the MCU, the Marvel Universe. Like I honestly have not watched a majority of the movies, but this movie and like those kind of moments made me want to go back and watch all the movies and get in depth and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite moments was oh man, I just love all the fighting. That was kind of the gripe I had with Infinity War, was it was just kind of boring, and I didn't like for them saying that they had all these Marvel superheroes. I wanted like a super awesome fight scene, and I was waiting for that, and it didn't really deliver. And then Endgame, that's what it delivered. I'd been told by someone who'd seen it, like, yeah, that like the fight scene at the end. No, they didn't give me any spoilers, but say that fight scene at the end, it was awesome, and so that got me hyped up. And then I saw that fight scene, and it was awesome. Like I know that's clearly the best part of the movie, but it was so cool.
Yeah, I was unfortunate enough to have something spoiled for me before I went to go see it. Was that Ant-Man lived, and I was like, well, that's obvious, duh. And I knew going in that Iron Man's gonna die. I'm a huge comic book fan, as you know. Most people probably don't know, but I'm a freaking massive comic book fan. I got tons of them just sitting next to me right now.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, I mean, one of the best scenes in there, besides the one you already touched on, the Iron Man one, which just, oh man, seriously, almost brought me to tears, was Cap being able to lift Mjolnir.
Yes, that was cool.
Holy crap! I'm getting shivers talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat Thanos' booty. He laid a smackdown on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't like an easy accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like Thanos was like actually menacing.
Yeah.
Unlike most villains.
No, yeah. I think people know by now like what Thanos is. Like he's not just some villain they put in there for him to get beat. He was like he was a dude. He was not to be messed with.
For one of the first times, because I watch a lot of movies and I'm able to predict the ending. Not always, thank God, because I couldn't watch movies. But for a lot of times, I'm able to sit there, or my girlfriend will be watching something, and I'll be like, oh, like this is the ending, and they're like, no, you're not. Like, no, it's not, and then it will be. I was not able to predict a lot of that ending. Besides, obvious Captain America was gonna not be in it anymore. Didn't know his old man route. Iron Man was gonna die. Didn't predict the Bucky not being Cap. I thought Bucky was gonna be Cap.
Yeah, I remember I watched a video and I just think they said the explanation for that was that he was a bad guy at the beginning, Yeah. So they didn't want to make Captain America like the face of good and like just pure goodness, superhero-ness, a guy that had like his past was being an evil guy. Yeah. So that kind of made sense to me.
But one of the most, in my personal opinion, jaw-dropping, shocking moments was when Thanos got beheaded.
Yeah, by Thor in the beginning.
Wow.
That was crazy.
I mean, what a way to start a movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that caught your attention real quick.
I mean, I was like, where are we going to go? How's this going to
Exactly.
work?
Exactly.
Like, you just cut off his head.
Yeah. They weren't going to do 2 hours and 45 minutes of just celebrating that they just killed Thanos. I mean, yeah, you knew they had to figure something out to fix everything that had been done in the last movie.
Yeah, I mean, we are in an age right now of just, I mean, probably the past decade has just been a golden years for cinema and television.
Yeah, especially superhero Marvel. They've knocked it out of the park with their 22 movie run they went on, I think.
That will never be replicated ever again. I mean, I as a DC guy, I hope the DC pulls something out of it. The Suicide Squad was awful. Batman vs Superman I really liked. Man of Steel I really liked. Justice League I don't even want to talk about. It hurts my feelings.
Yeah, it's cool. Another thing I liked about the movie as well was I think they have some places they can go from here too for more movies that could be good. I'm interested and excited for the Asgardians of the Galaxy with Thor. I'm also excited to see if he's fat when that movie starts. Like, I wonder if they'll maybe give him a slimming down, if he'll stay fat, if they'll give him a story,
Dude,
or if he'll
they had
just
P90X on that ship. What are you talking about? He's gonna be thin.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll just be ripped by the time we get back to the next movie with no explanation. But that Captain America thing, that was heartwarming. I mean, as someone who admittedly has seen like maybe 4 or 5 of the movies out of the thing, and I mean I don't know everything, but I know enough about the superheroes to have watched the movie and got a lot of the stuff. That was so cool. I thought it was cool how he was like able to go back in time, live that life he'd always kind of wanted with like the love of his life and stuff.
Yeah. I personally have some gripes with it because, in my personal opinion, it goes against what Captain America stands for because, he's going through all these events and at the same time, he's not standing up for what's right, what's going on in the world with World War II and Hydra and, Hydra taking him show. That's a whole other topic for a whole other podcast and a whole other thing.
Real quick, actually, though.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this very briefly before. And one thing I wanted to ask or wanted to theorize or bring up or whatever was with that quantum time travel.
Yeah.
He was living in a time period where there was another Captain America alongside him.
Yes.
So he was living just as Steve Rogers, correct?
Yeah.
So he could have, just to save it, he could have, there was still a Captain America out there fighting for that good through all those events while he was still enjoying that life.
See, but the thing is that the point of Captain America, and did you ever watch the first Avenger, like the first Captain America movie?
No, I did not.
So the point of that movie was like, it's not about Captain America, it's about Steve Rogers. Like, there's this very famous scene to where all these men are like doing jumping jacks in the army, and they're trying to pick who wants to be the super soldier serum. And one of the guys is like, oh, look at that tall buff dude over there. He'd be perfect for this because like he's shredded. And then one's like, no, I like this scrawny little kid, Steve Rogers. And then like, well, how do we pick? So they pretend to throw a live grenade out there, and Steve Rogers jumps on that grenade to save everyone. And that's the idea of what Captain America stands for. It's not a shield. It's not a symbol. It's Steve Rogers is able to be that goodness. So it's against Steve Rogers' character to do that. Once again, I'm just talking out my ideas now.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'd recommend, do you like anything to do with like true crime or like serial killers or cops or whatnot?
Yeah, I've listened to with football. It's not time really anything, but I've drove a lot to with like my mom to go to different camps and such. And what we'll do a lot of times is listen to a lot of crime podcasts. There's one specifically called Small Town Dicks, which is about small town detectives in the area that we're from. And so that's always really interesting. We listen to that one all the time because it's talking about like true crime that happened in the town that we live in.
Yeah, my dad's been worked some of the cases on there, so it's really interesting to hear them. Cool. One thing I'd recommend you watch, and this is probably by the time this comes out, it's kind of old news, but there's a new Netflix movie that came out recently with Zac Efron that's about the Ted Bundy Try All in One
Yeah.
out.
I've heard of it, yeah.
I just finished it. Would highly recommend. It's really good at manipulating, because I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's really good at manipulating the plot to make you think of it as his like girlfriend / fiance was at the time, because it's like my girlfriend and I had a conversation today about it. So Grant,
Yes,
let's pretend you and me have been best friends for years, okay?
for sure.
And I got arrested by our school resource officer in class tomorrow as we're sitting there in sixth period. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Jacob, you are arrested for you killed 2 college girls at the University of Oregon, blah, 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 blah. You're being arrested. At what point do you cut ties with me?
Well, I would have to, personally, I would want to know, like, from that person that, like, they did, like, if they actually, like, I don't know, if you're my best friend, I feel like I'd get the truth, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, I would want to know, like, if that was actually something, or if you got falsely accused or whatever. And then if you're like, oh, yeah, it happened, I mean, like, they're still going to fight it or whatever, I'd be like, that would be, like, when I cut ties. Like, as soon as I knew the person actually did it, and maybe, like, I could figure it out on my own or whatever, if I knew the person had actually done that, that was when I'm just like, yeah, I'd be out.
Yeah, but I with that, though, it's like if someone is so deranged enough to kill, I mean, I think he admitted to killing over 30 people. Jeez. Experts say that he killed probably 50 plus.
Yeah.
He loves the game.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the game. He's never going to tell you. And if you love someone and you don't know... Because here's the thing, right? Like, let's take Joey, who's your friend.
Yes.
We don't know if Joey is completely psychotic. I mean, you have a better idea than me.
Yeah.
But, even our teacher, I'm going to call him by his first name just in case, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
We don't know what he does in his free time. What if every time he goes fishing, what if he goes and kills someone?
Yeah.
We don't know.
You never know.
Which is crazy to think about because we are living in a society full of psychopaths.
Yeah, and, well, I'd say that most people probably don't go out and just serial kill in their free time. Yeah. So that's a little reassuring,
But, I mean, we're living in an age to where how many times have you heard in the halls either I'm going to kill you or I'm going to kill myself?
Oh, it's completely normalized. I mean, I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
we
just...
all are.
It doesn't hold any weight anymore.
Yeah.
It completely holds absolutely no weight, especially in our younger generation. Parents and teachers still hold, especially kill myself and anything with suicidal, like references and stuff, they still hold that in a very, like, different light than we just see it as no big deal. It's just, I want to kill myself. Oh, some one thing didn't go my way today.
Yeah.
Like, and then they see that in a totally different way, which I think it could be like, it's a bad thing. Like, as a high school student who, like, personally, like, I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy, or like, and I try to help people and stuff like that to where, like, what if someone is actually suicidal? They're like, oh, well, I want to kill myself. At what point are you able to tell, like, all right, they're not just having a bad day. They didn't just get a bad grade on a test. They're actually going through something, and they're not joking with you or saying anything. And that's what I find, like, where it could be dangerous. So, but as I said, I am definitely guilty of kind of normalizing those things as well.
Well, it's crazy because there was a girl today, matter of fact, who showed up late to my math class, and the first period. So I had third period with her. And I walked up to her, and we were alone. We're working on, like, a poster or something for leadership for prom coming up. And I go up to her and I go, "Hey, you were absent today. It's not like you. Like, this is like the second time you're absent. Is everything okay at home?" And she got super defensive. She then immediately spun it like, "Hey, I'm normal. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. Don't worry about it." Which is, we're in this weird culture now to where you victimize yourself by saying things like, I want to kill myself. But then when people want to check up on you, you have to pretend to be brave and bold.
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's a thing where it's to a point where now everyone says, like they want to kill myself, or like I want to kill myself. I'm so unhappy. Like all these things. It's those people who are now like portraying that I'm so happy, and they're portraying that as like the rest of like the students at our school, as the rest of us portray that we're like so sad and we're having such like a bad time. It's those kids that portray that they're so happy that are trying to hide something. It's almost backwards. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because I got both sides of the coin today. I got a girl tell me that she never sees me happy, and she thinks I'm super depressed. Like I fake my happiness whenever I am happy. And then I had a guy tell me today that I was like I am the most like ball of energy he's ever seen. Like I'm just always super happy checking on everyone.
Yeah.
And it's weird because both sides of the coin is for everyone.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
I mean,
in that respect.
At this point, I'm a little concerned going into the future with some kids.
Yeah, I mean, and the way like I always think about it, too, is like, I feel like our town's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like I know I'm not from any other towns in any other states, but I feel like with the amount of stuff that has happened, like the crazy stuff. I mean, we've had too many. I mean, one is too many, but the amount like people take their own lives in our town is like one is too many. And for me growing up from elementary school to now, there's multiple, which I hate. Like it pains me. But yeah, it's just crazy. And then I mean, then there's all the teacher student things that have happened within our school. Yeah, it's weird how like.
The most messed up thing I think about this is like you said, it pains you that many stuff has happened. One thing you may not know about me, but I've talked all over the state of Oregon and Southern California, and a little bit in Washington, that type of stuff, to where I've been able to speak about my suicide attempt story and what I went through and the type of things that I had to overcome and the people that have helped me and the person I called when I was attempting and like how they walked me through it and like helped me. Not like help me, try.
Yeah.
Help me out of it. I always have to clarify that because there was one time a question was like, do you mean someone tried to tell you to kill yourself?
Yeah.
So there's a teacher at our school. I'm not naming names because that's not what I'm doing here. But there's a teacher who looked at me and told me that suicide's not an issue here. They don't need to have lessons or know the signs or to know how to talk to someone who's suicidal because it's not a problem there.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, a girl killed herself.
Yeah, that teacher could not have been more wrong.
And I went up to the teacher. I was like, "Oh, is it still a problem?" And they wouldn't talk to me. I have not talked to that teacher since. I hope they get fired one day. But yeah, it's just crazy that people do not look at the whole picture. They have these, like you said earlier, these rose tinted glasses on and just go through life.
Yeah, and what I think is like it. Of all the times, I mean, God, it's just weird how, like, I don't think it's like, I've talked to some people, like, I went to Disney World this spring break, and I've talked to people from others. I got to, I met a really good friend, or not a really good friend, I made really good friends with this girl that I met there, and we talked a lot. She was from Chicago, just totally different than Springfield, Oregon, And we were just kind of talking about this stuff, and like she said that doesn't happen where she's from. Like that's not a thing where, like it's almost like a person per year is taking their own life, and at a high school level.
Yeah,
it's just like, and she said that just doesn't happen there. I was like, wow, like it's just crazy how are they better? Are they more educated? Is it just their surroundings, or are we more normalizing it as a society like within our town, or like what is it that is making it to where there's people that are feeling this way? And like I know I can't speak for everyone, but I don't feel like there's a necessarily high amount of bullying at our school, or maybe not the stereotypical type of bullying, Yeah,
it's definitely not the shoving in lockers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I've never once seen someone get shoved into a locker and they'll give me your lunch money and like that doesn't happen. Now, could there be with social media? Could there be stuff behind doors that no one knows about, that kids are being awful to other kids? Probably, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's just weird. I don't have an answer for it. I just don't know what's going on.
Sadly, you and I can talk about this all day, which is a sad point in our society because I wish that we couldn't, and it was just like, wow, it's not an issue, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we'll have to save that for another conversation.
For sure. Yeah, we could go on and on about. Yeah, it's huge.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I cannot wait to sit down, edit this, and upload it.
I'm excited
It
to see
is
the
going
final
to
result.
be freaking awesome. It has been wonderful talking to you, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. Everyone listening, if you've made it to the end, thank you so much. Hopefully you've hit that like button and subscribe by that point. If you haven't, then please do. If you have any more questions, you want me to talk to Grant again, if he will bless us with his honor of being here, then I would love to talk to him again. And we can talk a little bit more about the societal things, or we can talk about more of his life, or we can even do a check-in in a couple of years when he's actually made it into college and been doing these big things and actually looking to be an NFL prospect. That'd be awesome to actually sit down and talk with him again. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening and or watching on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching the video. It was a lot of fun making this. I'm really hoping to do this more with people, maybe get into really controversial topics and hear two sides of the story, or get to know more people, spread some people's stories. I can't wait to start doing this more often. I hope you guys join me. Once again, if you have any suggestions what to do in the future, please leave it down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.